So thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar topic is around unpacking search engine optimization, how to get the most out of your centre's website. My name is Carly Hansen. I'm the Sector Development Officer at Community Legal Centres Queensland. And before we get cracking, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're holding this webinar. In Brisbane, they're the Turrbal and the Yagara people. I wish to pay respect to elders past, present and emerging and acknowledge the important role that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders continue to play in our society. As today's webinar is being viewed by people throughout Queensland and possibly throughout Australia, I saw a couple of attendees from interstate. I'd also like to pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land throughout the country and extend a really warm welcome to any First Australians listening today. So today we're privileged to have Matt Cooper, who's the Managing Director of Alpha Digital, joining us to talk about SEO, or search engine optimization. SEO is a powerful marketing tool and can be a really big driver of visitors to your organisation's website. However, to the uninitiated, SEO can be really confusing and is sometimes viewed as a bit of a dark art due to the highly secretive search engine algorithms involved. So today, Matt's going to be chatting to us about his organisation, his experience with SEO. Matt's company is a Google Premier Partner, which is the highest level of accreditation that Google provides, and he'll go through some of the basics of SEO in hopefully an easy to understand way to help your organisation gain a really solid grasp of the essentials. So he's hopefully going to cover for us today what is SEO, what are the must-dos, what you can do as an organisation, and how and when to engage an SEO company. So thank you very much to Alpha Digital for supporting today's webinar. I'll let Matt expand on what they do and what his experience and background is in a moment. But firstly, I'll just quickly let you know that today's webinar is being recorded. We'll have that recording available online later today. The PowerPoints have been emailed out to everyone who registered as of last week, and they're also available to download from our website and in the handout section of the GoToWebinar control panel. So if you want to ask questions, you can do that at the end. You can either press the button that looks like a hand and we'll see those hands come up and we can unmute you if you have a microphone available, or the easier method, you can type your question into the question box and we'll be able to answer those questions for you at the end. So I might now hand over to Matt to run the show. So thanks, Matt.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks everyone for giving up your valuable time to listen to me talk about SEO. I'll try to make it as easy to understand as possible. I've been doing SEO for 16 years now. Back in 2002 was when I was first introduced to the practice of SEO, and Alpha Digital has been around now for 8 years. So it's been 8 years that we've been performing SEO on a variety of different websites around Australia and New Zealand. When I've explained SEO in the past, there's the technical way of explaining it, and then there's the layperson friendly way of explaining it. And I've been asked to talk to everyone today as if you're a beginner to SEO. So I'm going to start right at the very beginning and use an analogy to try and explain what SEO is. But then as this webinar goes on, it will get a little bit more complex towards the end, and hopefully I don't lose anyone. And if there's any questions, more than happy to answer those at the end. So thought I'd dive straight into it and just explain what is SEO. And right at the beginning, what we're talking about with SEO is search engine results. So Google is the most popular search engine in Australia. It accounts for around about 85% of searches. 14% of searches happen on Bing and about 1% on Yahoo. But Google's very dominant in Australia. In America, Google only has 65% of the searches and has a lot more competition with Bing and Yahoo. But for today's webinar, I'm going to be talking all about Google. Now, on the screen there at the top, you'll see that there are 4 search engine results with little yellow boxes in the top left-hand corner. Those are ads, and you're probably all familiar with the term PPC, which stands for pay per click. When you use Google Ads to be at the top there, it is essentially what just said, pay per click. Every time someone clicks on one of those links, they get charged. And legal keywords are extremely expensive. We've got a law firm that we work with, and one of the most competitive keywords out there is personal injury lawyer Brisbane, which is over $100 a click. So that's not an inquiry. It's just a click to the website, and from that, there might be some people who make an inquiry, and of those that make an inquiry, some may turn into cases, and of those, some may be successful. But it's highly competitive. Below the ads is what's called the organic listings, or the free listings, or the SEO results, and those are 10 results that sit beneath the ads and are free. Every time someone clicks on those, you don't get charged. And the majority of people click on the free listings. They will skim past the ads. 30% of people will click on ads, 70% of people will click on the SEO results. So they're really important. But how do you get up the top there? Well, what I want to do first is explain what this big image here is. This is Google. So Google, the first thing to understand is that Google is an index of the website. When you search Google, you're not searching the internet, you're searching Google's copy of the internet. So it stores a copy of every web page that it can access on servers in these massive warehouses that are the size of huge aircraft hangars all over the world, and they're filled with servers, which is what you're looking at here. Thousands and thousands of computers that are just storing all the copies of web pages that Google has what's called crawled. And so what we need to do is make sure that when Google gets to your website, that it's indexing your website in the best possible way. So without getting too much more into the detail on that right now, what I'll do is use a little analogy to help explain what SEO is, and I'll give you a background into web design, because it's important to understand how websites work to understand how SEO works. So if you think about your website like a car, so stay with me on this one, but if you think about website manufacturers like car manufacturers, you may have heard of WordPress and Wix and Shopify, Neato, Magento. These are all manufacturers of websites, just like you have car manufacturers, Toyota, Ford, Holden, etc. You have website developers. Now, these are the really techie guys, kind of like mechanical engineers who get into the nuts and bolts and they write the code. They're the ones who make your website do things. So when I say do things, I mean if you've got a form on your website and it captures people's information and sends you an email, a website developer is the one who codes the website to do that. Website designers are just like car designers. They're the ones who look after all the colors and the logos and the layout and the size of the buttons and make your website look as pretty as possible. So again, if you think about your website like a car, what is Google? Well, Google's like a racetrack. It's got 10 results on the first page of Google, and you're trying to get to the top of those 10, to be in position 1. Now, there are some websites that don't care about ranking highly in Google. For example, someone might create a website that just has information about their upcoming wedding, with just information for their guests of where the wedding is and what the gift registry is and what the dress is, etc. And they don't care whether they rank at the top of Google for the keyword wedding. If you want to get more visitors to your website and you want people coming to your website and not other websites, well, you're entering into a competition on Google, and you're entering into a pretty fierce competition to get to the #1 spot. So if you think about a website like a car, a website that wants to be at the top of Google is like a race car. So what is SEO? SEO is your pit crew. So an SEO company like ourselves at Alpha Digital, we're there to work on your website. We want to make it faster. We want to make sure that it's all set up correctly for that particular track. We're the ones that are analyzing your lap times and are providing you with advice on, okay, if you just make these changes to your driving style, or we make these changes to your tires or the aerodynamics of the car, it's going to go faster. You're going to win more races, and you're going to be in position 1. So if you think about yourself as the owner of the website, you're the driver. The website itself is the car, and your SEO team is your pit crew. And of course, you can do your own SEO. And that's what we'll talk about today. So you can modify your own website to make it better in the same way you can modify a car to make it better and have a greater chance of winning. So here's another little slide just to sort of reinforce that point about the top 10 positions on Google, which are the SEO results. It's a race to get to the top. So how do you get there? What I want to talk about now is the fundamentals of SEO, what every single website must do in order to win on the racetrack that is Google. Number 1, you're going to need a Gmail address, and that means that Google's email is called Gmail, and when you have a Gmail address, you're able to access a whole heap of Google platforms that help your website perform. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail, and by the way, on this PowerPoint that's been sent out, there should be links, so you can click these images and they will take you straight to where you can go and register a Gmail address if you don't already have one. So after you've registered a Gmail address, the other thing that you've got to do is register your Google My Business address. So you might have seen in the past when you search on Google that there are some results in the middle of the results page which are connected to a map. So if you're looking for a community legal center near me, you might come up with a bunch of map listings which show your nearest community legal centers. Now, how you get on that map is Google will either create one of these listings for you automatically without your knowledge because it's grabbed your address off your website and it's gone and created the listing, or you might need to create one yourself. So the best way to find out whether you've got one or not, if you're not sure, is just Google a keyword related to your organization, see if there's a map listing, and then there will be, if you haven't taken ownership of that map listing, there will be a button called Claim My Business, and you click that and follow the prompts. And you can put in your opening hours, your correct address, your phone number, some photos, information about your business, and most importantly, there are the ability for people to leave reviews on your Google My Business listing. And those reviews are really important because they cannot be deleted. So anyone can leave a review. You can respond to that review, but you can't delete the review. And obviously, the more 5-star positive reviews, the better. Moving on, getting a little bit technical, installing what's called Google Tag Manager on your website is really important. A tag is a word for a piece of code, and when you're optimizing a website and trying to make it better, you might add lots of pieces of code like Google Analytics, which tracks people's activity. You might do Google Ads, which means you've got to add code for that. You might start adding other pieces of code that like heat mapping software that track where people scroll and click on your website. And if you keep adding all these bits of code on your website, it'll slow it down, kind of like just the more code on your website, the heavier it gets, the longer it takes to load, and that's a bad thing. And what Google Tag Manager does is it packages up all those pieces of code, or those tags as they're called, and hosts them off-site. So it moves them off your website, and it just has the Tag Manager, one piece of code on your website, making it lighter and faster. So it's a little bit technical there, but it is very important that you get a Gmail address, you sort out your Google My Business, and you also get Google Tag Manager installed. And your web designers or your SEO company can install this easily for you. Then you've got to install Google Analytics. This is super important. So Google Analytics tells you exactly what's going on your website. It tracks all the visitors to your website. It'll let you know how many people came to your website last week, and of those people, how many pages did they visit? How much time did they spend on site? Did they fill in a form? If they were on a mobile, did they click a phone number? What was the interaction like on your website? Bad interaction is when lots of people come to your website and they bounce, they leave straight away. They don't click any other pages, they don't spend any time, they're just there for 10, 20 seconds and they leave. That's a really unhealthy statistic that Google Analytics will tell you. Healthy stats show you that the average user is visiting a few pages, spending a few minutes, and most importantly, making an inquiry to talk to you. So Google Analytics will tell you all of that. It'll also tell you where they're coming from. Are they coming from Google? Are they coming direct to your website? Are they finding you via Facebook or via another website or an email? And it'll also tell you what parts of the country they're coming from, or parts of Brisbane, what time of day that they're visiting. Are they visiting more on mobiles or desktops? All of these bits of information are really helpful for improving your website ongoing. Google Search Console, another important Google tool. This enables you to talk to Google. Google can send you messages about your website and can let you know whether there's any health issues with the site and make recommendations for how you can improve your site. So this is your one direct link with Google in a way to communicate with them, because unfortunately with SEO there's no phone number you can pick up and ring someone at Google and ask them any questions. So that's Google Search Console. And that is just about everything with regards to the Google platforms. So Gmail addresses, your Google My Business address, Gmail addresses, your Google My Business listing, Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, Google Search Console. All those platforms are really important to have set up correctly for SEO. The next one is pretty obvious now. It's been around for many years. Making your website mobile friendly is super, super important. Majority of visitors to websites are now coming on mobiles. Smartphones, the speed of the internet on mobile means that mobile sites are more important than desktop sites. Most people look at their website and make a judgment on how well it performs by looking at it on a laptop or a desktop. Don't have a look at your website on a mobile. That's what the majority of people are seeing. And so you might want to look at updating your website to make it more mobile friendly. Right, now that you've got all those fundamentals in place, you're actually ready to start the SEO work to try and get higher up in the listings. And before you do, it's important to understand what is part of SEO. So what are the things that you're going to be doing to improve your search engine ranking? Number one, you're going to be looking at the content, making sure that you've written the right content on your website. And what I mean by that is having the right keywords on your website. So you might have some pages on your website all about tenancy disputes, but have you used the word landlord disputes in there? Because you might call them tenancy disputes. That might be the correct legal terminology, but people might be typing into Google arguments with landlord, or my landlord won't do this, or my landlord's being difficult. So it's important to have tenancy disputes and also landlord keywords. Technical SEO is also important, just making sure that the website is set up correctly from a technical perspective. Conversion optimization, does your website make it easy for people to find the information that they're after and contact you for more information? Link building. So this is really important because one of the major factors that Google looks at in deciding whether your website is better than other websites is how many other websites link to yours. So if you've got a website that only one other website links to, then it's going to think, Google's going to think less of your website compared to a similar site which has 100 websites linking to it, because it thinks that the popularity of a website as judged by how many links it's getting is really important. And then finally, tracking and goals. So that's, just talking about Google Analytics, you need to be regularly analyzing how many people are coming to your website and what they're doing and making changes accordingly. So number one, the content optimization of your website. First of all, what are the best keywords to optimize for? How do you find relevant keywords? Well, what you want to do is use the AdWords keyword tool. Now, this is a free tool provided by Google. It comes in the Google Ads platform. So you can register and set up a Google Ads platform for free, and you can use the keyword tool within it for free. And what it will do is tell you how many people are searching a keyword every single month in Australia. And I've just done a little bit of research this morning that might be relevant for some of you, but a tenancy dispute gets searched 90 times per month. Rental bond disputes get searched 40 times a month. Another keyword is domestic violence. Now this gets searched a lot more times, 14,800 times a month. But then there's also other keywords that you need to be aware of. So spousal abuse gets searched 90 times a month. Verbal domestic violence gets searched 40 times a month. So there's lots of different keywords being searched, and there's lots more competition on those high volume searches. So social media, I've used the example here, gets searched 14,800 times a month as well. And it's a highly competitive search term. And when I say highly competitive, what I mean is, in this example of social media, if you were to type that into Google, what you're going to get is a Wikipedia result. You're going to get universities selling courses in social media. You're going to get very strong websites with definitions of social media, and you might want to rank for that keyword, but the competition is just too strong. So it's kind of like entering into a race which is a Formula One race. Social media marketing is more specific. So it is going to cut out all the university websites. It's going to cut out some of those strong, high definition websites like Wikipedia. It gets searched less, but you're more likely to be competitive for that particular keyword than you are just for social media. But then if we get even more specific and we look at social media marketing Brisbane, we actually drill down to 140 searches per month. But unlike the Formula One or the V8 supercars, social media marketing Brisbane is like competing with go-karts. It's a lot lower competition, and it's going to be easier to rank for social media marketing Brisbane than it is for social media. So you need to find what are the most relevant keywords to you. If you're only in a location or a certain area, you need to add those suburb names in the content as well. And you also need to be aware of not what just your terminology that you use for your services, but what's the terminology that your potential clients would be typing into Google. And you can use the Google AdWords keyword tool to help you find those. So you can type in a keyword and it will come up with a whole heap of suggested keywords for you. So once you've worked out what are the keywords you want to rank for or optimize your website for, it's important to put it in these three elements of your website first. So these are the most important places to put the keywords. The page title, which is the blue part of the search engine result. So this is just a snippet of a search engine result. This is what's called your page title. This is the very first place that Google looks to find out what this page is all about. So a lot of people just put their name in the top here, but it's really important to put the keyword that the page is all about. So on our social media marketing Brisbane page, we've got social media marketing Brisbane. The second most important place to put it is in the URL, which is this green link here. So after / sometimes you see a whole bunch of letters and numbers and gibberish, which is just how the website gets built. Sometimes there might be irrelevant keywords in there and people haven't thought about the URL, so it's important to put the right keywords in there. And then also in what's called the meta description, which is this couple of sentences which just describe what the page is all about. So you want to put the most important keyword in there as well. Then you want to write copy. So you might have 300 or 500 words on your page. You want to make sure that you've got your keywords in those words, and if you bold them or italicize them, that will help Google recognize that they're the important keywords for that page. You want to put it in your header tag, so that's where you see the bolded title of what the page is on the page. If you've got any images, you should have the ability to put in what's called an alt tag in the image, and if you put the keywords in that alt tag, that also helps. So here's just an example of where to put the important keywords, and if you want more information about this, then the Moz Beginner's Guide to SEO is a free online resource that has lots more information about this. And you might be thinking, well, where do I go? How do I edit all these elements of the page, and where do I write the content? That's in what's called your content management system. So if you've got a WordPress website, it's very easy. You can go in and edit the copy there. If you've got a Wix website, you can also do the same, but it's not so easy. It's a little bit more restrictive. Every website's content management system varies in its easiness to work with, but you should be able to edit all of these elements of your page within the content management system. So yeah, I've talked enough about all the optimization of the content. The next thing to think about is your page speed. Now, the faster, the better. The latest stat is that if your website takes longer than 3 seconds to load, you will lose 50% of your visitors. So that's really important to be aware of the fact that a slow website is going to be deterring people from coming. So you can check how fast your website is by just clicking that image on the right hand side, the page speed insights, and you can put in your website address and just see how fast it is. The next thing that you can do to improve the visibility of your website is create a whole heap of social pages. All the social networks, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Snapchat, YouTube, not all of them are going to be relevant to you and your organization, but some of them are. So it might be, I think it's really important to be on Facebook, no matter who you are. Instagram and Twitter and Pinterest are, for specific businesses, but LinkedIn is also really important for all your organizations to be on. And if you've got any helpful videos, creating a YouTube channel is also important. And when you create a video, you want to put it on YouTube first, and then what's called embed the YouTube video on your website so that it loads quickly and runs smoothly. Link building, as I mentioned before, this is all about showing Google that your website's really popular. It's easy to get links from directories and social pages. Then if you can approach partners, industry bodies to link to you, that's also really helpful to your SEO. And if you can get any news outlets or do any public relations that can get you media websites linking to you, that will also really help your SEO. And then again, I've harped on about this before, tracking results, logging into your Google Analytics and seeing how many visitors are coming. So here we have a graph where we started doing all the SEO setup around here, and then finally the SEO started picking up in Google, and we started getting higher and higher rankings, and of course got more and more visitors coming to the website. And then we were looking at, how many pages were they visiting? So on average, people are visiting 2 to 3 pages. They're spending almost 5 minutes on the site. So yeah, it was. This is an example of some good results that have been tracked in Google Analytics. And there's all types of helpful videos. So if you're ever confused and you're like, oh, how do I use Google Analytics? You literally just type that into Google and you'll find heaps of videos. Google's a great resource for getting more helpful information. So on SEO results, we call it the kingmaker of all the marketing that you can do. SEO results will get you, SEO will get you the best results possible. It may take some time, before you see the results come in, because you need to invest all of this effort in writing good content onto your website, doing the technical optimization, increasing the page speed, constantly analyzing the results and making adjustments accordingly. But eventually, if you stick with it over many months, you will start to see great results. And on the next page, I've got an example of an e-commerce website that we've been working with now for over 4 years. And when we started, they were making about $100,000 a month in sales, and they're averaging almost close to $400,000 a month after 4 years of constant SEO. If you're wondering what all those spikes up and down are, that's their on sale, off sale periods. So they go on sale and off sale quite often. And yeah, there are seasonal peaks and troughs in there as well. But that dotted blue line shows you the trend line of how consistent SEO will over time bring you more and more visitors as Google starts indexing your website for more and more keywords. So if you're looking to engage an SEO agency, what kind of questions do you want to ask them? You want to ask what kind of SEO tasks that they perform. You want to ask them how do they decide what tasks you're going to perform, who performs the task, is it the person you speak to or is it someone else? Be careful of SEO agencies that have salespeople in Australia but technical people offshore. The work can be a bit hit and miss, but a lot of very price competitive companies will use that approach. Ask them how they invoice for their SEO work. Is it by the hour, by the project? Are there any lock-in contracts? Avoid any 12-month lock-in contracts. A 3 to 6 month contract is normal for SEO. And a very important question is to ask, are there any guarantees? And if your SEO company says, yes, we can guarantee you this result, avoid like the plague. There are no guarantees with SEO because Google changes its algorithm all the time. Your competitors change their websites all the time. There is no way that you can guarantee any result. Just like if you were to engage a pit crew, you couldn't get them to guarantee you a race win. They can definitely improve your website and give you every chance of success, but there's absolutely no guarantees. And on the right-hand side is just an example of how we break out our SEO work. So we might, spend 22 hours doing copywriting and checking your Google Tag Manager, doing reports. AMP stands for Accelerated Mobile Pages, so making your website faster, link building, and then project management. So breaking out the tasks that you perform in SEO is really important with the SEO company that you engage. Also, you can ask how many staff the company has, what kind of clients they have, ask to speak to their clients. Avoid anything called black hat SEO. So you might have heard of white hat and black hat SEO. Going all the way back to what Google does, it indexes all of these websites and decides which website gets number one based on what its algorithm decides is the best. Well, black hat SEO is all about tricking that algorithm. So it used to be, to give you an example of black hat SEO, back when I started in the early 2000s, Google used to look at how many times a keyword was written on a page. So say you wanted to rank for tendency dispute, you could just write tendency dispute 100 times in your content, and you would have a good SEO result because of that. But it doesn't look very natural if you've just got tendency dispute written 100 times. So what SEO companies used to do was they would write it in white text on a white background so that people wouldn't see tendency dispute written 100 times, but the Google bots that would crawl through the website would pick it up. That's called cloaking. It's one of many, many, many black hat SEO techniques. And there's all these SEO companies out there trying to find hacks and tricks. And you want to avoid those companies because if you get caught, you can get penalized and Google can blacklist you and you will be removed from the Google search results completely. The website can disappear. So what can you do right now? Everything recommended in the setup part of this webinar. Write content, build those directory links, look out for other website links. improve your website speed. Simple things that you can do to improve your website speed: minimize images if you've got like photos on your homepage that are 2 meg or larger. Minimize those. Try and get the smallest possible image that you can without losing pixel quality. So under 100 kilobytes if you can. Just make your website lighter. Speak to your web designers about improving your website speed, or find an SEO agency who can do all of that for you. And the other thing that you can do is learn more. And Google's got a fantastic website called Google's Digital Garage. And if you click that page, it should take you to the Google Digital Garage. And if you've got a Gmail address, you can log in, and they've got really, really easy to follow video tutorials and courses from the very basics of SEO through to AdWords and other online marketing techniques. So yeah, and those are our 2 businesses. So Alpha Digital is our main company. That's what I've been running for the last 8 years. We've just launched Springboard Digital, which has been running for less than a year, and it is aimed at just helping out small businesses that have small budgets and are looking to operate in just one location. So we have the same people in the same building working on both, but Springboard Digital is focused just on small businesses. And that's everything.
Great. That was so interesting, Matt. I was madly taking notes and scribbling stuff all over my bit of paper here, just to try and check that we're doing the right things here at Community Legal Centres Queensland. So now's a really great opportunity for you to ask Matt any questions you might have about SEO. And no question is a stupid question is, I think, the motto for today, just because it is quite new to many of us. So a reminder, you can just type those questions into the chat box on your GoToWebinar control panel, or use the button that looks like a hand and we can unmute you. So I might just have a look. There is a hand raised, so I'll just check. It's Camille. Okay, great. And you've sent your question through as in text, so I'll just drop your hand down. So Camille's asked, Matt, can you tell us where to update the meta description? I think there's a special box in WordPress.
Yes,
you know about that one?
There certainly is. So when you log into WordPress, when you go into actually editing a page, there will be part of that page where you can update the meta description. Now, WordPress content management systems are sometimes set up a little bit differently, and that special box, could be at the top, could be at the bottom. It might be hiding. But what I actually recommend for WordPress is downloading a plugin called SEO Yoast. And Yoast is Y-O-A-S-T. It's a really helpful SEO tool made just for WordPress. And once you've installed that plugin, it has the page title, the URL, the meta description, all in an easy to edit format. And you can go in and edit the meta title within the SEO Yoast plugin, and it will update it for you. So it just makes it a little bit easier.
Very good. That's super handy. Camille, I see that you've put your hand up again. I'm just going to unmute you if you wanted to ask a question as well to follow on.
Thank you, Carly.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for the talk. That was really helpful. I just wanted to check that meta description. That's the little snippet of information that comes up on the Google search page, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Camille.
I'm a bit too scared, I think, to maybe try the Yoast plugin, because our websites are all live and we don't have the knowledge in-house. We don't have a lot of knowledge about how to use plugins and I guess make more extensive modifications like that. So yeah, I'd probably be more inclined to try and fill in that little meta description box that I'm pretty sure is available on our pages that we already edit.
Yeah, sure. Well, whatever you're comfortable with, if you can find the meta description box, then yeah, just edit that and yeah, leave SEO Yoast for another day.
Yeah.
Thanks, Camille.
Will do.
Okay, thanks, Camille.
I'll just meet you again, okay?
Sure.
Okay, thank you for that. I've got a couple of questions just while any other questions you guys might have are coming through. So you mentioned, Matt, that there were ads on the front page. So is there a limit to the number of ads that you would usually see displayed? Is it usually,
Yeah.
or can that fill the whole page?
Oh no, it's limited to 4 maximum at the top. It used to be 3, and then there used to be 3 ads at the top and then 7 ads down the right hand side. Then they got rid of those 7 ads and just created 4 at the top, which pushed the SEO results even further down the page. But yeah, it's limited to a maximum of 4 at the moment. But Google changes its mind all the time, so yeah.
Right. And I think we've used, and others may have also seen this, there's a Google AdWords for not-for-profits thing, which I think is part of their grants project or program, and you can actually apply for that. And I believe that gets you some free paid ads. So you might be one of the 3 or 4 at the top of the page. Is that how that works?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Google Grants is what it's called, and all you need is a charity ID number, and that can get you up to $10,000 a month of free Google ad clicks. And so you can be at the top of Google in the AdWords results for free. They do have one restriction on it, and that is you can't spend more than $2 per click. But there is a way to get around that where you set up automatic bidding, and I don't want to get too complex, but I would recommend speaking to an AdWords agency to help get that all set up correctly for you, because I've seen a lot of charities that have got access to the grant, they've got the free AdWords up to $10,000, but they're only spending a couple of $100 a month because of that $2 per click cap, and there is a way around that cap which an agency can help you with.
Excellent advice. So if you haven't looked into that, maybe it's worthwhile checking it out and getting in touch with an SEO agency. So I've got another question that's come through from Camille. So is it worth tagging images?
Sure is. If you can put the keywords in the alt tag of the images, that helps your SEO. All the little things help. So SEO is about getting 100 little things right rather than 2 or 3 major things right. And putting those important keywords in the page title and the URL, the meta description, the header, the body content, bolding, italicizing, putting in the alt tags, all of that helps your SEO.
There's lots of little bits and pieces you need to do there, which sounds a bit time consuming, but hopefully worthwhile. And once you get into the rhythm of it, I'm sure as you add new posts, you just get into the habit. Yeah. Good. I had another question, which was, you mentioned the reviews, so reviews of your organization's page. I think we might be a little bit worried about using that or turning that feature on if it's available to turn on or off, I'm not sure. Because we're legal services, I guess there's a risk that we might have lower rankings, potentially if people don't get the results that they're after. So is there anything you can do about that? Or, and I guess my other question is, if you have a higher ranking, does that improve if you have a higher star rating, does it improve your ranking in Google?
Okay, so the first part of that question, you can't turn it on and off. It's always on. So if you type in community legal center near me, or free legal aid, in this suburb, and there's a MatPat listing and you're in it, there will be the ability for people to leave reviews, whether you like it or not. So that's something to be aware of, and if there are negative reviews, you can respond to them. So you can say, I'm sorry you had that experience. If you'd like to give me a call, we can maybe discuss it later. And how you respond to those negative reviews is really important, because every organization is going to have negative reviews. And if people can see that you respond to them well, that's helpful. And the second part of that question was with regards to, what was it again?
If you've got a higher star rating, does that change your ranking in Google?
It does, yeah. So Google will, use that as one of the indicators of what is a better website than another is how many star rankings there are. So,
very interesting. Thanks for that.
No worries.
I've got another question from Rebecca. So Rebecca, you've put your hand up. I'm assuming that means you've got a microphone, so I might unmute you so you can ask your question. So go ahead now. Are you there, Rebecca? Beck, if you've got a question, maybe you just want to type that into the question box, or oh, no question. Okay, just a mistake. No worries. I'll unmute you and pop your hand down. Thank you. That's okay. So I think that seems to be all the questions. We've still got another 5 or 10 minutes. So if you do have any questions, now is your chance while you've got the expert in the room as such. Just while you're thinking of those, I'll just a reminder that there's a couple of really good things that you can do with this presentation. So it is a PDF document. It has links in it. So make sure you click through onto those links throughout the document. So you can actually go straight to those pages and the tips that Matt's included. The other is the Moz Beginner's Guide to SEO, the free download you can grab for yourself if you want more information about this, and of course searching Google Analytics in Google for some of those helpful videos. So no more questions seem to be coming through, Matt. So I might put this one to a close and end it there. So thank you again for coming in and talking to our members about SEO and demystifying some of that complicated stuff. Hopefully that's provided everyone with a little bit more confidence and will encourage you to hopefully go into your website and get your rankings up. If you do have any other questions that you think of later, or you'd like more information, or you'd like to engage Alpha Digital or another SEO company, please send an email through, and Matt's contact details and website information are on the slides there. So thanks everyone for joining us today, and thank you, Matt, on behalf of everyone who's tuned in.
Excellent. Thanks for having me.